Hey, everybody. It's Tuesday.
And welcome to this week's edition of Hook, Line, and Striker.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And thanks for being here with us tonight. So we got to chatting, and I actually did prepare Megan for this one thing that we usually start with, like a fishing report and stuff, and let people tune in. So for those of you who are super excited to, come and chat with her, you're gonna have to hang out for like a whole minute or two with us as people continue to log in. So I'm sorry to throw Megan a curveball. It's kind of funny. With that, our fishing report, man, we actually went to the lake and the river this past weekend. And
lakes and river.
Yeah, that's true. We had an extra day in our weekend, which is kind of cool. But we're finding water temperatures are consistently around the, just under the 65-degree mark. So that was, this past Sunday, this past Monday, pretty recent. But, I know that conditions are changing really, really fast because at the end of this week, it's going to be really a whole lot colder than the end of last week. So, whatever you have been doing, that might be a little bit changing. And that's kind of actually a good thing because some of these last weeks we've talked about fish being in transition. So they weren't quite in their summer patterns and they definitely were not in fall patterns, but that kind of awkward in between. And that can be that could be hit or miss for fishing. I've seen some people with some fabulous luck, and we've had some okay luck, but the better bite is to come.
Yeah, and good to see you guys again, because last week was not a mistake. We did not miss it. We just had a little bit of a hiccup on our side, and so the fishing has been the same as it has been the last 3 weeks. Fishing report is really not anything that special. Same, just picking off fish here and there, and hopefully they start schooling up soon.
With that, let us know how your fishing report is because we are always interested in that. Let us know where you're watching from because I love hearing that too. And a few other, kind of notes as we are here with the Striker Show. So first of all, rain gear is still 20% off. So if you are looking for an insulated Denali suit at the end of the season, it is getting cold. There's a code right on the website for that. That is going to be awesome. I have rain gear, but not the insulated Denali, and so I'm a little bit jealous. And that's why I'm telling everybody. Also, they're doing some pre-orders for some of the ice suits. So the new Apex suit, the new Stella suit, I think Predator suits, and it says pre-order for limited quantities. So that's just straight from the website and straight from the email today. So I am excited for ice. So I'm excited to get my gear going.
Mm-hmm. Jacob,
amen to that.
Mr. Jacob, he's saying he's got big gills everywhere, so I guess we're going to track him down and figure out where he's fishing.
And otherwise, let's bring Megan to the show. So thanks for being here.
Hello.
Hey. So first question, for somebody who doesn't know you, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, everyone. So just the normal spiel. So my name's Megan. I live in La Crosse, and I've been a striker now for just this last summer. But I started my own fishing brand as well called Casting Queens. And sorry, boys, but it is for ladies only, for ladies that love to fish and love a little glam. And I started that in 2020 just because I'm a lady who loves to fish and I love a little glam. And there wasn't really anything out there for me. So I decided I'm just going to start my own thing. And so that has been going really well. We have a separate Facebook group for women and like a whole line of products and tackle and all that jazz. So that's kind of my spiel of who I am. And then just fishing wise, I started fishing. Probably my husband got me into it, and probably about like a couple years ago. And then every year just keeps getting more addicting and more addicting.
Do you have a favorite fish or multi-species?
Bass, largemouth bass are my favorite for sure, or northern or anything that'll bite my lure.
It's really exciting to hear you talk about lacrosse because actually we're in Wisconsin also. So that kind of feels like a small world. I feel like so much of the fishing world originates from Minnesota. And that kind of is small town, that kind of feels like hometown to Midwest.
Yeah.
But then is your group just Wisconsin or beyond that?
No, so Casting Queens is nationwide. We have some pro staff all across the country. So it's one of those things that obviously it started in the Midwest, and that's really where a lot of our customer base is. But we've really been trying to just expand that. So we have people that saltwater fish, people that fly fish, and so really trying to market those areas in those women, because in the industry there's just a need for it. There's just, so many more women are fishing nowadays, and to have something like just for women, especially just in tackle in general, is huge. So it's something we're definitely looking to expand on the tackle side. Just because like you'll go to, a tackle store and everything's like in blue or green, and I'm about like pink, teals, and purples here. So cheetah print, you know all that girly.
So can you tell us more about that? I mean, is it tackle? Is it gear? Is it like tackle boxes? Is it?
So right now it's just, again, it's kind of like one of those slowly growing things, but the idea of it is a lot bigger than what we currently have. So one of the things we have is we do pair with line cutters. So we have some of their rings, and right now we have like one of their flat mounts too. And that has been the best thing I have found on the market, fishing wise, because that is literally a lifesaver. Because there's times where we'll be searching for our scissors or whatever, and it's just so frustrating, especially with how many times I like to change my lures up. So just having like that flat mount right on the boat is key. So we just have our logo on that. And then you did mention I should bring some tackle. So we do have some custom tackle pieces as well. So like lures and swim jigs. And we did have a spinner at one point. We just have to get that redone. So I work with a local guy in La Crosse who paints all of our crankbaits right now. And we have two. The names are Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth.
Okay, awesome.
To go with the queen name. So this camera is all wonky. So this is the Queen Elizabeth, which it's really hard to see, but it's pink and blue, so it really appeals to the women, like just that bright pink color. And then this is the Princess Diana one, which I just love that color. It's so cool. So we're actually looking on trying to go wholesale with these soon. Because I know some bait shops have been wanting to get them, so we're working on that. I have like 200 of these in a box. So we just have to get all the packaging and all that squared away to go wholesale. So hopefully you guys will start seeing those at bait stores or local bait shops. And then we also work with a company called Crappie, and they make swim jigs. And Crappie hand ties all of their skirts, and it's very precise in how they do things, like with how they put what is this called? Like I forget what this is called. Like where they place this thing. They're very precise on that. As you can see, I've used this one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have so many of these because this summer we did swim jig of the month. So we had just a bunch of different ones that we were selling, and I couldn't find them all. But this is one of our original ones. This was called Janis Joplin. And it's just purple and white and has some sparkle in it. And then I kind of like using these tails or a paddle tail. Those are the ones I like to use a lot on the swim jigs. So that's kind of what we have right now. So we'll sell some swim jigs, we sell some crankbaits, the line cutters, and then we did have a spinner, but we're like all out of those, so I didn't have those to bring. But
no, that's okay. One of the things that I'm loving is that you are showing products that are pink, are purple, that teal. And you would said it does appeal to women, which is pretty
Mhm.
fun. It has to catch an angler before it catches a fish, right?
Yeah.
But I think that is the thing about it, is that it does catch fish.
Yeah.
We have even a lot of people in the comments that are saying that they look awesome.
Yeah. I have a friend that we had a purple one. It wasn't the Janis Joplin one, it was a different one. And he caught a bunch of bass. I gave it to him to try, and he caught a bunch of bass, and he definitely ordered like 4 more. I was like, see, I'm like, guys may be, catching on too, that they like those bright colors. So
Yeah.
Well, I always laugh because, gosh, we were just talking to, I think, Katie a few weeks ago, and
Mhm.
I had this story about how I really wanted a hot pink popper because I had a pike that just kept going after a hot pink popper. And I went on this trek forever to find a hot pink popper. And it took us, honestly, finding somebody with like an air gun or an airbrush, and we had to paint our own. It was so funny. And actually, I hadn't even gotten back to the lake to use that,
No.
which is funny.
Isn't it
But
crazy though? Just like
Yeah.
I like, even just in general with certain tackles, like you try to find something and you can't. And that was, I guess, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to expand the tackle line, because even just like for simple things like a mouth spreader or something, like let's glam it up a bit, shall we? Like,
that's actually really fun.
just, I don't know, just fun things. Because I think of myself like when I go to a bait store, I'm honestly looking at anything that like just catches my eye. I'm not gonna look at the dull colors. Like that's just not me. And some people are very into all that, which is great. But for me, I'm like, no, like what looks cool? Like what's pretty? Or what's gonna, And if it catches fish, that's great.
Yeah. Being a lady angler, and there's lots of people that are looking to get, their significant other or their families
Mhm.
out on the ice. So do you have any tips for introducing people to, well, I'm saying the ice or open water?
Yeah, I think definitely inviting them out to go with you first. So that was my biggest thing this year. So like I said, my husband kind of I grew up, my dad fished and everything, but it just wasn't something that I was really into until I met my husband. And we started going out more. I started going with him. And that's when I started to like things. He would introduce me to different stuff. I mean, if I was just doing it by myself, I think it's a lot harder to learn and it's more intimidating. This summer, I made it my goal that I wanted to be able to back up the boat myself and go fishing by myself. And I succeeded in that goal. I've gone out twice by myself. One time was a cluster, the first time. And actually, no, the second time was just a cluster. But we can talk about that in a minute. So like just having those goals, because I think the more you go out and the more you get comfortable doing things by yourself. I mean, I used to wear gloves when I used to fish. Women talk about how they still wear gloves and like, how do you guys touch a fish without, wearing a glove? It's like, don't worry about it. Like once you feel comfortable and you want to try it, then, take off the glove. I don't judge anyone for it because I did the same thing. But just being able to like try it and just, even if it's just a couple times with like a sunfish, I feel like that's the easiest to start with. And then just showing them different things and being patient with them. For ice,
Can I break in there really quick? Because that really is a huge, huge point. I'm almost going to reiterate what you said because I love that is, don't put people in a position that is uncomfortable. If somebody is wearing gloves or they're not, or, they're nervous or whatever, because to have it be a fun enough time for something to want to return to, or for someone to want to return, it has to be like a fun, positive, memorable experience, not like traumatizing. And that sounds ridiculous, because so many of us fish all the time. How is touching a fish traumatizing? How is touching bait traumatizing? And it's like, I will be the first to say, I still hate leeches. Like, I hate them.
Yeah, even with worms, like cutting worms where people split them in half, I for sure just take a scissors and do it. No shame in the game. I'm like, I'm not splitting those things. Yeah.
But I mean, I think it goes all the way from, touching bait all the way up to something like backing in a boat because, once you can learn to tackle those small things, you can get to the bigger things like loading and unloading. And, I'm lucky that Josh does the backing up of the trailer, but, I can drive it on and off and that makes us super efficient. And again, it's something that kind of aids in that fun day.
Yeah. And that's kind of like how my husband and I did it too, is that, he'd always back it up. I would drive it off. And then that's how we did things. But there was times where he didn't want to go fishing, but I wanted to go. I'm like, this is frustrating. Like, I cannot go by myself because I need someone to back up the trailer. So I practiced this summer whenever we went out, and then, finally went out for the first time by myself, and then second time by myself. I was so nervous because it was just the second time I had gone out by myself. I was like, I really hope no one's at the landing because I'm going to have to back this up and I don't want to be nervous and I don't want all this pressure on me. And there was no one there and I was like, oh, thank God. Well, right as I get out of the truck to get everything, all the straps undone and all that jazz, a boat comes in. And I'm like, well, do I just wait for them to load or do I just back it in? I was like, screw it, I'm just going to back it in. So back it all in, get the boat in. And instantly, as I'm roping it to the shore, I'm like, I forgot to put the plug in. So I was like, oh, sorry guys, forgot to put the plug in. So I had to pull my boat back onto the trailer. The guys were super nice, and one of them helped me get it up and whatever. But it was kind of one of those things, seriously, I did everything perfect, backed it up great. I was like, yes, I got this. And then forgot the plug. So that is something I will never forget. Hopefully.
Megan, you don't have to feel that bad. I for as long as I can remember, I've been fishing and my whole job, I went to college for natural resources and I've been in water my whole job. Mm-hmm. A couple of years ago, we were in the middle of the lake and then there's water coming up through the floor and I'm like, what's going on? And then I couldn't figure it out for the longest time and I threw the bilge pump on and it would go off and then a little bit later there'd be water after I turned the bilge pump. And then I went and looked behind the boat. We were out in the middle of the lake with no plugs, so Emily's like, we're gonna sink. So we ripped back, and even when you do it your whole life,
it's one of those things that I don't understand why they have not put on some alarm system or something where you can't start your boat without it in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I just don't, because if that that could be so dangerous if you don't realize that. Yeah. And there you are, middle of the ocean, not ocean, but
could be.
Middle of could be if it's a big lake, middle of the lake or river, and you're how far away it's
mm-hmm.
that could, and if it's super cold or something, I don't know. I just wish they.
Well, and a couple of things just while we're on the topic of safety, keeping an extra plug in the boat back by your spare battery is always a good idea, or in your boat bag. And the other thing is if you keep your boat on plane, mm-hmm. then you won't get any water in it because you're sitting at an angle like this and you're moving forward, so it sucks the water out. And so those two things, if you ever do forget, mm-hmm. You're not going to sink as long as you're within distance, driving distance of the dock, and you can get the plug in. But having the extra plug in the boat is pretty important.
Yeah, that's a good. Because I suppose you could just hurl over the back and if it's warm enough, have someone hop in the water,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's my little fun story about my first time, or second time. I hadn't gone fishing by myself and it hadn't been a while since I had gone out, but yeah, so that was super exciting this summer just to be able to accomplish that. Because that's just something I want to be able to do by myself. And I think it's empowering to do it. And, I never would have thought I would have been able to. It's just, so I always encourage women that don't know how to back up, just keep practicing in little turns.
Turns, yeah.
And I sometimes have just to remind myself that too. I'll like start cranking it and I'm like, okay, just like regroup and just do little turns or whatever. But
well, and this is almost a perfect time of the year to be out practicing that. Well, and I guess
Yeah.
not because winter's coming, then we're going to store the boat. But,
Yeah.
you know, when boat launches are not so busy,
Mhm.
you know, when you don't have as many people coming up on you, you know, there's a lot of boats, a lot of different docks that have been pulled out. And even if you don't have a dock to hop out there, you know, just getting that practice of backing it up, lining it up. This is the time of year where really that's available.
Yeah, even just like I would say, I mean, Walmart parking lot, even just for backing things up. Kind of like we're all in driver's ed again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so.
And then one of the things that we had kind of talked about is getting people out. And so certainly for open water, those are all things for that. But I think, you know, getting people out on the ice sometimes can be even a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So have you found that to be true as well?
Yeah, so I actually just kind of got into ice fishing this last year. Never was a huge fan of it because I just don't think I never had the right gear. So it was always cold out there. I never had my own stuff. So like, I didn't have my own electronics. I didn't have my own like pole. And for me, like I like to have my own stuff. And especially, you know, if you go with the boys, they're all going to have their own Vexlars and Markhams. They're not going to want to share. Or they're, you know, so, and it's a lot easier to have electronics when you're jigging.
Yeah.
So I definitely just got into it this last year. And that's when I got my striker. I think I had the Prism suit from last year. And I really liked it. It definitely kept me warm. And one of the main reasons like why I didn't mind going because I was warm. And then I got my own Vexlar. Didn't have my own auger. Well, we share an auger. You don't really need your own, but I was able to like I went out on the ice a few times by myself too this winter because that was kind of a goal of mine to be able to do that. So just learning how to use the ice auger and stuff. But definitely for ice fishing, for people that summer fish and they want to go ice fishing or they don't know what gear to buy, I would say honestly go with someone the first couple times to see if you even like it. Just because the gear is, I feel like ice fishing is pretty expensive because I feel like you really do have to invest in the good gear. Otherwise, I personally just it's not as fun. I don't think if you don't have the warm gear and you know the proper electronics or stuff. I feel like it can be kind of frustrating. So definitely inviting your friends and just getting them to go. I know that's how my family kind of got into it. Was that you know friends had asked my dad and stuff to go and that's when he was like yeah I like this is kind of fun. I remember the first time we went out ice fishing I went with my dad like he had gotten like some little shack but all he had was a hand auger that was like not sharp and we about died. We're like yeah I think we need to go get like a legit auger. And we just went on this like small pond, but I'm pretty sure we went to Fleet Farm just shortly after that. And
Just
like,
on the way home.
yeah. Like, oh my gosh, we look like idiots out here. Like, what are we doing?
I've been there. A question here from Ray. He's saying that his wife can't find good boots. Do you have a recommendation on that?
So boots I have struggled with too. What boots did I have this last year? I got some. It's like a muck boot, but it's not muck. I don't know what.
Is it called Bogs?
No, it's not Bogs. But I didn't mind them, but I still felt my feet kind of got cold. I've definitely heard because I've gone through a couple boots is that if I decide to get new boots, I would go with Baffins. That's what I've heard. That's what my husband has. He swears by them. He's also had a couple different boots just for hunting purposes and things. And just Icy said he doesn't even wear wool socks or anything. Like he'll wear a normal pair of socks and his feet are fine all day. So I've definitely heard Baffins is a good brand to look into. I have heard, what did you say the other one was?
The Bogs.
I have heard of those too. So I'm definitely kind of in the middle. Like my boots weren't terrible last year, but I definitely might be looking into something else too for that.
So when I first started ice fishing, I had not actually had any striker gear or anything yet. I was, I guess, pretty new to all of it. And I kind of like the Casting Queens idea because I was insisting on boots that like weren't ugly. And I know that's really silly. But I know that there's a lot of women out there that can relate to that. And a lot of women that say that to their husbands, like, I want something that's cute. And it is really, really hard to find. And so if that is your wife, then I really would suggest that you look into the Boggs brand because there is like 1,000 different designs and patterns and colors and cute this, that, whatever. And it is waterproof and it is durable and it has like little handles to pull it on. And that's great. It is a slightly slimmer fit. But I will say that even with a great rating on that boot, I still had my feet get chilly, even though I refused to admit that at the time. I always, for some reason, insisted that my feet were not cold. But because we are lucky enough to be with Stryker, I tried out those boots one year and actually, I think 2 years now I've had them. When did they come out? And it's okay. I will say it is not the cutest boot that I have ever tried on because I think, it's kind of a men's or unisex boot, but it is all black. And honestly, I am much warmer and a lot happier.
Well, and with the,
what'd you say?
What boot was that?
Actually, the Stryker boot.
Oh, I need to check that out too.
Yeah, they're pretty durable as far as that goes. It's a very similar style as the Boggs or the the other kinds of boots like that. In addition to your boots, though, you do have the heated inserts, and that has helped a lot. I think even everybody, boots are a tough thing, right? Because everybody's feet react different to different climates. I know, like I run just generally really hot, and so I can wear the Stryker boots with just a regular pair of socks. And if I'm sitting for a long time, my feet will get chilly. But we don't sit very long. No. We fish outside all the time and we're walking around, and so I don't ever experience my feet being very chilly. Guys that stand around and watch tip ups, I can see your feet being really chilly. I think a lot of people make a layering mistake. They buy really warm boots and then layer a lot on top of it, and then you get sweaty feet, and then it gets really cold, no matter what boot you wear.
No matter what boot.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that too.
But the inserts, I think, is a really good idea because you don't have to have them on all the time.
So hold on, what you're talking about is the Thermacell brand, the shoe and the boot inserts. And I want to say that there's like 3 levels of like, one has like a little battery remote and one maybe has like a phone app and then one is maybe fancier than that. I can't remember.
There's a phone app that is fancy.
Yeah. But the thing about it is that it is, goes right into your insert. That's actually the Boggs boot fit narrow, and I wanted a slightly wider boot to fit the inserts in better. And so that's what brought me to Stryker, which is then funny because I find I don't use it in these boots very much. But for those inserts, it is nice because there's 2 settings, like a low and a high heat, but don't expect it to get hot. It gets like just above body temperature. So it won't necessarily like keep you warm. It just kind of keeps you from getting cold.
Right. Yeah, I think the worst part is definitely having cold feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some good advice.
Yeah. Well, it's all.
I might also be writing that down.
I bought them on clearance one year and I was like, well, we'll see if these even work.
Yeah.
I did like them for a while. Honestly, I like them better for the boat, like walleye season, and it's like so cold and it's
well, and any type of insert too, there's other, like, if you go to the shows and stuff, you'll see like they'll have in like wool inserts that you can put in that are customizable, that you can, and all that does is it layers so it brings you up further from the ice. And that's one thing that the Stryker boot is designed with. It's a thicker sole, and so it gives you more protection from being in contact with the ice. And if you add another layer on top of that, even though you don't use the electronic function of the inserts, you still get a little bit more insulation, and I think that helps a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because I definitely went the really cute route the first time.
Yeah.
And I remember I tried on these boots that it almost felt like I was like like walking on the moon, because it had like so much, like padding. And I was like, yeah, no, not about this. and then I pretty much got shit for it the entire time after. Like, well, you should have got those boots. I'm like, yeah, I know, but ugly. So if your wife's like that, definitely check out Striker boots, because I definitely am going to.
And if anybody else at home has any other questions, definitely feel free to drop it in the comment section, and would love to talk about that. Because a lot of what is relevant to you guys is relevant to other people out there. So love hearing about that, because we probably experienced it as well. So with that, we've talked a lot about gear and, backing in your boat and everything. So have you been on the water recently? How's fishing been?
Well, I will say that my husband outfished me all week last week. I barely caught anything. He caught all the fish. I don't know what it was. We were trying for some northern and bass this week, and he did really well. We went out Tuesday and I think Friday last week. And Tuesday he caught like a bunch of fish. I don't know what I was doing, but obviously nothing wanted to bite what I was throwing. So he was doing really good. And then on Friday, it was cool. He caught a 36.25-inch northern, which is pretty, that was his biggest one. So I was really nervous because I had to net it. And I may have missed netting a few fish this summer. And so the pressure was on. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a huge northern. I do not want to miss this. And so he definitely fought it for a bit, and it went in front of the boat, and it like kind of stopped. He's like, okay, it's coming back. And all I could picture was the lure swinging out of the mouth and just like hitting me right in the face. Like that's just what I pictured happening. But I netted it, we landed it, and you got a picture with it, and it was safely released. So he did really well this week. I did not. I think I caught like a couple crappie, and that's it. But the crappie bite is on down here. He went out this week too and caught a bunch of crappie. So I think we're going to try to go back out and do that. Especially with like the cooler temps and stuff. I really think the bite's going to be on. We haven't done a ton of fall fishing in the past, so this is kind of new to us. Last fall, we tried to do it a little bit, but just we weren't very successful in it. We just had put our boat away early, and we just didn't really go out that much. But this fall, we're definitely trying to hit some more spots, and I definitely want to go crappie fishing. So.
I definitely always support people putting their boat away early, because it's more water for me. I'm kidding.
That's hilarious. That's a good point. Like, yes, you should. Right out. Is it Labor Day or whatever? It was right in the boat shed. Boating season's done.
The reason I bring that up, though, is I think that a lot of people are in a similar situation to you. I don't know if it's COVID or just the weather's warm, or if it's like people just love fishing more than they used to. I don't know what the deal is, but like people really, there's been more anglers on the water later, it seems to me. I can't prove that in any way.
Well, and what she means by more anglers on the water is that there's one other boat on the water where we're fishing.
And she's like, whoa,
yeah, what
close.
are you guys doing at my lake?
Oh my gosh. There's some years where people would have been off the water for so long, and we talk a little bit about how, less boats changes that water clarity, sometimes changes the fishing, all of these different things. But I just think having more boats there later, what it's going to mean to me is more ice anglers, because they are out there scouting, and they are going to know where those fish are.
Yeah, I feel like this last year, at least in the La Crosse area, it was packed wherever we were. Is that kind of, because where are you guys?
We're about 40 minutes west of Green Bay.
Okay. So were the lakes super packed by you guys too, or?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit abnormally busy. Around us, we don't have a whole lot for jigging fishermen,
Mhm.
and which is fine, but it's not a dig on anybody. It's just a different style than us.
Mhm.
We have our tournament buckets and
Mhm.
our Vexilars mounted to it. We're hopping around
Mhm.
and dudes are out there. There's 6 guys. They each have 3 tip ups in, so there's 18 tip ups in however
Yeah.
much area. And so I think there was a lot more of that. I noticed a lot more families. There's a lot more kids running around. The big
Mhm.
ice hubs. That's a pretty inexpensive way to have a lot of shelter for a
Mhm.
little bit of price.
Right.
And so I saw a lot of kids out there not doing much fishing, but that's okay. They're enjoying stuff.
Right.
We'd be catching fish, and then a little kid would run over, or a dog would run over, and then a kid would be chasing. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm just catching this fish, and I'm catching this." And so it's like,
Yeah.
I noticed that a lot more. As far as like fishing competition, like competition for spots that we fish, I don't feel like we really ran into that as much as a lot of other people. But yeah, that's just our area. I think that's just our region. If we were tip up fishing, I think we'd probably say something different. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people, at least down in La Crosse area, I think there's a lot of there's a mix of both. I know we do both. Like we'll have do 2 holes for jigging or whatever, and then the rest will be tip ups.
Mhm.
But yeah, it definitely was a fight a lot of times to just get out. Like you wanted to make sure you got out there early, or even to the bait store to get bait. Because it's just, you go to the bait shop right when it opens, and literally it's just packed full of trucks.
Well, you guys can come visit us. We'll show you some crappie spots.
Yeah,
we don't go to the bait store.
We don't have to get up early to go to the bait store.
I did not know those lines exist.
Yeah, that's what I am excited about, to just learn more about ice fishing too. Just because again, I really only started last year really diving into it,
Mhm.
so I have a lot to learn still. Even just with different settings on your Vexlar, I know that you can do different stuff with it, but I definitely have all the gear now, so we're ready to go. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to learn. It'll be interesting this winter. I am expecting, so March 28th is my due date, and so I told my husband that he's gonna have to put those snow skis on the sled and just cart me around, because I'm gonna be waddling. You're gonna have to get me out there somehow. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. But
yeah, that will be interesting. I think that there's a lot of women that really can relate to that, though.
Mhm.
I hope it's okay to share this. You had posted on the Striker Pro Staff page about, hoping that your bibs would fit, and I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, because there's nothing that'll stop you more than not having warm weather gear to get, or cold weather gear to get out there.
Well, I know. So that's my thing. So I plan on getting the new Striker suit that they just came out with. And I'm like, what size do I get? Do I get my normal? But the comments that I had, because I posted it on our Casting Queens VIP page too for the women there. And a lot of them said just to they mostly kept their bibs unzipped and then just had their jacket over it. So I think I might just go with my normal size and then keep it unzipped. I don't know. We're still kind of trying to figure this whole shebang out. So we'll see.
Well, and as somebody that's not expecting, I still don't know what size to get. So
it's well, how much am I going to indulge in food this year? I just don't know.
That's funny. That is actually a really cool thing. If people at home are not aware, the Stella suit actually has a whole kind of extended sizing compared to what the Prism used to have. And I think even the Prism might have a little bit of an extended sizing than they used to. So I know in the past that there's been a lot of women who have approached the Striker booth or tried on different gear, looking something that's made especially for women. And I think that it's great that there's a lot lot of options out there that are for kind of anybody. I know the climate bibs in the black is something that a lot of women, the Predator, is women have loved that. But I just think that the availability to have sizes for everybody in that Stella attire now is going to be so cool.
That will be really nice, I think, for, people that, we've gotten questions like that at Casting Queens too about different sizes. And it's sometimes hard to just get those sizes in. And I just think it's great that they were able to expand their sizing. I think that's awesome.
I think it's really nice that ladies have an option for lady looking stuff too.
Yeah.
Because since we've been with Stryker, like I'm a huge proponent that it's not, there's not a men's and women's line. It's like all unisex, right? So anybody can wear anything. It just is what it looks like. And, it's tough. It's a tough sell, when you're trying to sell like these very masculine, like gray or black bibs to somebody. And you're like, just try it on. Promise me. I've sold like hundreds of these to ladies, and they put them on. And the best part is like the boyfriend's like, "Oh, those look really nice." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, these are my new favorite bibs now."
Yeah.
But it's really nice that now there's actually colors, and they're really nice colors. Like they have a color like this. They have like the teal you were mentioning before. So I mean that's all really. And the stripe pattern, they brought that over for the ladies too.
I definitely love
some
that
of the
stripe pattern,
like purple accents and stuff, and the teal accents. So that looks really cool.
Yeah, I love that one. I think that's my fave.
Well, actually, that was going to be my question. Is the ice gear your? I always ask people's favorite Stryker gear. Is the ice gear yours?
It is. It is my favorite. That's the most I've dabbled with it too. That's the most like I've just been able to wear it all the time and just have that experience with it. So that's why I really love it. I'm really excited to try on the new Stella suit and just see how that fits a little different than the Prism, because I know they made some changes to it. I'm just trying to figure out like what color I want, because like I said, I mean, they all have their like pluses, right? So it's like, well, which one do I like more?
Yeah, so many.
I think I've kind of narrowed it down to the teal and black or the pattern one. So we'll see what I decide. But
yeah, that is for sure. So do you have? Well, I was going to say anything exciting coming up. You were talking about having a baby in March. That's really exciting.
Yeah, that's
anything fishing wise before that?
Honestly, no. We don't really have anything like big fishing trips planned or anything. Last year we went up to Duluth and fished with Minnesota North oh gosh, I'm probably butchering the guy name now, but we did lake trout in the fall, and that was really cool. But this year we just aren't gonna really travel very far or anything, just with everything going on. So I'll just probably try to fish more down here and just check out some spots. And we are going this January to the Hardwater Freaks. It's not like a tournament, but it's just like a fishing gathering pretty much. So Casting Queens will be there with like a bunch of other vendors. So that'll be really cool. And I believe that's January 29th. So that's up and coming. And I have some pro staff flying in for that. So that'll be really fun and exciting. But how about you guys? Well, do you guys have any fun plans too?
I don't know. Our plans are always changing. It seems like, we don't have.
Josh, do we have fun plans coming up?
Yeah.
We don't really have kids. So I mean, most of our weekends are fly by the seat of our pants. We make a game time decision. We do, but as far if shows are going on, we have a couple of shows. We'll most definitely we'll be in South Dakota. That's a definite, because that one.
Is that Fargo one or?
What's that?
Isn't there like a fishing show in Fargo, North Dakota?
Yeah, there's supposed to be one in Fargo. There's one in South Dakota at Sioux Falls Convention Center, Dakota Ice Angler Institute. That one's a go. We'll of course be in St. Paul if that one goes on, and there's a couple other ones that we might hit.
Otherwise,
otherwise,
Wisconsin
I mean,
Fishing Expo, but that's in February.
yeah. And then there's a Ice Junkies tournament up by Hayward sometime in January. There's the Ice Junkies meet and greet. And that's in Sandwich, Illinois. So we'll be going to that. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just like kind of calling people up.
It's ice.
Yeah. Running her own.
Well, I love it.
So, a lot of these fun activities we do get to bring to Striker. But a lot of these other fun activities you have, on the Casting Queens page, or I guess I should call it a Facebook group. So I would tell everyone to go and join, but mostly like have your wives and girlfriends and friends come join, because you said that it's a ladies group only.
It is. Sorry, boys. We've had a few guys try to join and we have to decline them. But it's kind of just a safe place for women, because there are so many unisex groups out there, and sometimes women just want something just for themselves. Sometimes it's just they feel more comfortable asking questions or sharing pictures, and unfortunately, just not everyone is super nice when people share pictures on other groups. So it's solely just for women, and it's fun. It's kind of cool. We do a lot of different fun things on there too, and we do a lot of fun giveaways. We are going to be having a really big giveaway coming up soon too. So if you're definitely a woman listening, you might want to join, because it's going to be a big giveaway. So.
Excellent. And then are you also a website, because you were talking about products?
Oh yeah. If you are interested in anything that we do or sell, castingqueens.com. So you can find us on Facebook as well. Our business page has its own page, but then we're on Instagram too. So at Casting Queens, you can find our Instagram, our social media, and then castingqueens.com for all of our gear and fun things like that.
Perfect. And I think Josh was able to get the link right up into, well, if you're watching from Facebook or from YouTube, it should be right in that comment section. And I think it's even a clickable link. So if you are interested, go and check that out. Or if you saw those hard baits in the beginning, go and.
Oh, yes. We can just show those again.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Which this color is not, it's not very good on that one, but here's our other one we have too. So.
Heck yeah.
Heck
yeah,
yes.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Cool. So I'm excited to go and give that a look. And otherwise, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's a lot of fun. I hope we get to meet up and fish soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Or this winter.
Absolutely. I see that happening. And to everybody at home, thank you guys for being here as well, because that is always really a great. Billy's asking last second, do they glow? Do your baits glow?
They do not glow, but if you reel them in really fast, maybe they will.
Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. Billy, go and let us know. So thanks for spending the evening with us. And otherwise, looking forward to another great week next week on that edition of Hook, Line, and Striker.
Night, everybody.
Bye, guys.